Company, Kay Thompson. We have with us my favorite sidekick here. Well, and another favorite sidekick when I can catch him in town, Shanita Johnson, real estate broker, and the fabulous and most awesome Richard Scarbrough, who is also a real estate broker emeritus. Now, let me say that there are not that many broker emeritus in our midst around here. I only know of two, and both of them are here. So if Richard feels like it, he can kind of tell you what a broker or what a realtor emeritus is. I call him broker emeritus, but he has been instrumental in helping me to understand so many different things from a real estate perspective since I've been a part of the Best Real Estate Company's family. And so I am honored to have him here today. We've been talking probably here and there whenever we can catch each other through email or whenever he stops into the office about him doing this. He's always been open to it, and so I'm happy that I was here when he came and said, "Hey, Kay, I'm ready," because I have been ready. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and let Richard get started. We're going to talk today about sales.
Yes. Here's what's interesting. I just walked in with a bunch of notes, and Kay has no idea what I'm going to talk about. She's a very trusting person. But here's my takeaway. If we live 400 or 500 years, we could do a bunch of stuff wrong and be okay. But we are not going to live that long. We got 3, 4, maybe 5 decades of working time. And so you can't make too many mistakes, or you can't mismanage your time and be effective. So along the way, I've been doing this 50 years, and I've had a lot of setbacks. You say, gosh, he's a lucky guy. He's got all these houses. I'm only lucky because I worked my ass off. That's just the bottom line. But I also thought about what I'm doing, how I can do it better. And I always knew I was not the smartest person. You got to realize a high IQ does not give you success. But I also realized very few people could outwork me. When I was doing houses, and I'd have 2 open houses every Sunday, I'd meet people from 6 in the morning to 11 at night. A 12-hour day was a short day. I thought, wow, it's not even dark yet. I get to go home. But anyway, what I'm saying is, when I started, now this is like a half a century ago, so you got to think about this. This was pretty awkward. We had no cell phones, nothing. We had landlines. You had to walk in and pick up a phone that had a cord on it. If you wanted paperwork to go somewhere, you took it to their office. No emails. Didn't even have a fax machine. When I first got my fax machine, it was the size of a suitcase. That was a big deal. So, as they say, you've come a long way. For you ladies, now this is interesting, up until 1978, in the entire history of our country, a woman could not get a credit card or a home loan in her own name. It's like, hey, hon, you go get a man and come back and we'll do business. 1978, they passed the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. Today, more single women own homes than single men. Y'all have figured it out. Here's what Pam did before we got married. She bought a house, moved in 2 roommates. She was living there for free. And then she did it again and again. So you can build your wealth by grabbing these houses, doing things a little different. If you want things to be things different, you got to do things a little different. So it's just a matter of working smarter, and it really doesn't matter. You think, well, gosh, if interest rates are only 4%, I could sell a bunch of houses. Man, if we had more inventory, I could sell a bunch of houses. It doesn't really matter what's happening out there. What matters is what happens right here in your mind. Your mind determines your future, your thoughts, your goals, how you're going to do stuff. So there's a lot of things in this world that our human mind cannot understand. We'll never understand it. Can anybody explain why electricity works? We can explain how it works. You build up a magnetic field and electrons, but why does it work? We don't know why. That's just the way God set it up. It just works. But it took men about 10,000 years to figure out how to use electricity. It can kill you, or it can be a lifetime servant. Now, take that thought and jump over here. Look around. What do you see? A bunch of stuff. Where did it come from? It came from somebody's thoughts. So how do thoughts become things? We don't really know, but that power is there. Maybe in another 10,000 years, man can figure that out. So you've got to learn to control your thoughts and focus your thoughts. So here's what I'm talking about, too. We talk in words, but we think in pictures. So if I say car, you don't think of the letter C-A-R written on a blackboard. You think of a physical car. So I'm sharing this information for you personally, and I'm sharing it for you to help your family and clients. So you have to learn to create some word pictures to help people understand what you're talking about. I've got a few I've created, and I'll share them with you in a minute. But let's get back to the thoughts. So if I took some newspaper and crumpled it up in a pile, and I took a magnifying glass and I went outside on a bright sunny day, and I took that magnifying glass to where that light came down to a certain point on that paper, what would happen to the paper? It would catch on fire. Boom, burst into flames. What if I took that pile of papers and I waved the glass around? Several minutes, several hours, several days. What's going to happen?
The same thing.
Nothing. Same power, same energy. It's not focused. You have to focus your mind on what you want. Now, this may sound elementary, and you hopefully have heard this before, and you won't learn it just from listening to me this one time. You didn't learn the alphabet the first time you heard it, or the multiplication. I was in about the 3rd grade before I could repeat the alphabet. I mean, seriously, it takes repetition, repetition, repetition. So here's a goal sheet. I think she's got it online, or you can look at that.
Share it.
I didn't. I'm not brilliant. I just learned this from somebody else. But I actually took this goal sheet and I turned it upside down because it had the first thing at the top was financial. I put it at the bottom. If you get everything else right, you'll be motivated financially. And then I have this on my closet door, so when I get up in the morning and pick out what shirt I'm going to wear or something, I read over them. So you set what you want to do, and you should do this spiritually, how you want to grow spiritually. Family, you should take time to be with your family, brothers, sisters, spouses, whatever. Physically, diet and exercise. All your life you've heard diet and exercise. As an old person, I'm 75 years old, I've realized it's not just diet and exercise. For your mental health, you have to socialize. We have to interact with other people. We're social creators. Mentally, how can you help your mind grow mentally? You don't just coast along watching TV 6 hours every night. You got to make some decisions to do things a little bit different. In fact, think about watching television. We watch television for amusement. Now, what does that mean? Muse is the Latin-based word for think. Is the Latin word for no. So you're watching television to do no thinking. You're taking your mind off the grid of trying to be creative and doing good things and just let it blur away with everything that's on there on television. Socially, number 5, interact with people as best you can. And then financially, to do all this stuff 1 through 5, you've got to have money. You've got to have resources. You've got to have assets. You've got to do things in a way that makes all the above happen. So, and the other part of the goals is attainable. Don't just say, I want to be rich, I want to be happy. It has to be something. It has to be challenging. It's not, I want to make minimum wage. Well, that's not much of a goal. It has to be measurable, where you can either measure it in time or money. Co-authored, if you've got a business partner or a spouse, or maybe your children. Make goals with your children. And then in writing. There's real power in putting things down on paper. Even if you never see it again, right now, in this session, you should be writing. I got about 38 ideas to share with you. You won't get but about 8 of them. So you got to listen to it a couple of times. And then you repeat them verbally, just like you learn the alphabet, ABC, ABC. Oh my gosh, I must have said it 1,000 times. Finally, it starts clicking and doing your mind together. But I have thought of so many things that I wanted that I have that you have. Think about it right now. What kind of car do you drive? Where are you living? What kind of clothes have you got? What kind of shoes have you got? They were all thoughts in your head before you got them. Right now, you could tell yourself, or I could, I want a garden hose. But I'm not going to pay for a garden hose, but I want a garden hose. I bet you within 2 or 3 days, you will drive around and see a garden hose on the side of the street, or a neighbor will say, hey, we cleaned out our storage room, we got 8 garden hoses, how many do you want? Your thoughts, just like this electricity flowing through the wires, your thoughts create a magnetic field which will bring you things. Now, I've been aware of this for several decades. Working on commission is very interesting because usually the bills come in faster than the money. That's just the cycle we're in. So I remember a time I would tell my wife, I'll write out all the checks, but don't mail them, and tell me how much money I need for us to get through the month. And she'd say, oh, we need about $1,200. I said, no, give me an exact number. I need to think about an exact number. She said, I'll say, we need $1,283.62. Okay, I need $1,283.62. And I was thinking about that for a couple of weeks. I had some little deals working. Now, this was 30 years ago, so the numbers are a lot less. I open the mailbox. There's a letter from the IRS. I'm thinking, oh, damn, how much do we owe them now? So I opened it up. It's a check, $1,283.62 to the penny. The hair stood up on the back of my neck. I thought, oh, my gosh, not just almost the amount, to the penny.
Wow.
Your thoughts become things. Now, this may sound crazy to some of you, but you really need to get into this. So they say the beginning of wisdom is when you know that you don't know. So when you know that you don't know, you're ready to learn. So when I started, again, a half a century ago, there was no seminars on sales. There was no stuff to do. There was a few sales trainers who were out there selling stuff. And I've written some notes here of the ones that affected me. The first one is Earl Nightingale. Now, most of y'all may have never heard of this guy. He was born in the late 1800s, lived to the mid-50s. If you go, we used to have to drive to cities to listen to him in person.
Mm-hmm.
We'd drive to Atlanta, Houston, wherever, and I figured if I could get one idea from a weekend seminar, I was ahead of the game. So if you go online, these guys have books. When you say, Richard, I don't have time to read a book. I'm busy. Or they have videos. Well, I don't have time to watch a video. I'm busy. Guess what you have time for? Riding in your car. You're in your car 500 to 1,000 hours a year. That's like taking a college course. Turn off the radio. You don't need to listen to that crummy music. You need to feed your mind just like you're feeding your body with positive thoughts. So you go to YouTube on your phone. You put in these names. Now, some of these names will not pull up correctly. If you go to Don Hudson, he may be a baseball player, but you want to go to Don Hudson Sales Training. He's a local guy here in Memphis. So Earl Nightingale, he will say, I made this record. And you think, what is a record? Well, that's a piece of plastic that's round.
Oh, yeah. I know what a record is.
Yeah. This training is not new. This is good information that's been around for at least 50 years as our economy. If you think about it, for thousands of years, our whole world was on agriculture, or if you needed anything, it was in your hometown. If you needed shoes, you got them from the shoe shop right there. But then as the manufacturers, after the Industrial Revolution, we could make more stuff than people needed.
Mm-hmm.
We made, that may not sound like a big deal, but that was a big deal. And then we had to get people to buy stuff they didn't need. And that's the era we in now.
You know what? I actually saw a documentary about Sears Roebuck and how they competed with Marshall Field.
Yeah.
It is so fascinating, but that is that was the whole crux.
Next time you're in Walmart, look at the stuff that's rolling out that door.
Yep.
They don't need them big plastic toys and all that colored water and all that stuff. So anyway, they learned sales techniques. I'm going to share some of them with you. But Earl Nightingale, if you listen to him, now, I listened to him repeatedly on cassette tapes back in the 70s. Some of y'all know what that is.
Yeah.
And I remember you hear these words, and maybe you're in a different sales situation or a different family situation. You hear it, so I've heard that before, I've heard that before, I've heard that before. And I remember I was driving on a road in Mississippi, coming up a hill. There's a big ditch full of kudzu, and I heard what he said. Oh, my gosh, for the 18th time, it finally hit me. Thoughts become things. I heard those words. I never thought about it. Just like I explained to you with electricity. Oh my gosh, you got to be careful what you think about. You got to focus on your goals. Now, these guys teach in different ways. Mm-hmm. Jim Rowan, a very nice guy, kind of talks with an English accent. Mm-hmm. So if you don't like an English accent, listen to somebody else. If you don't like, Zig Ziglar was a cookware salesman.
Yeah.
He's a Christian motivational speaker, very positive. Says most people need to check up from the neck up. You know, that's where our problems are. Tony Robbins, he got started teaching people to walk on fire coals. Mm-hmm. Think how stupid that is. But at the same time, if you can convince your mind, you can walk across a bed of fire coals. Brian Tracy, I've got his CDs in my truck right now. I was listening to him driving from Nashville. Pam, we either trade off listening to country music or my CDs. And I don't want to listen to that. She lays the seat back, puts in her earplugs, but she's fine. I can only, Stephen Covey, he wrote the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yes, I have that over there somewhere.
Oh, good, yeah. All this information is available. Mm-hmm. All of it is free. You do not have to buy anybody's course. All this is right there on YouTube. You put it in your phone, play it in your car, and let your mind start filtering with some of this information that'll make you a more productive person. Now, here's what I'm getting to. If you think about sports, football, basketball, baseball, any kind of sport, there's not one guy that's really good and a bunch of them are behind him. Everybody is very close. In races, most of them are won by 1/10 of a second.
Yep.
Just a tiny edge. So if you could just say, I'm going to do things 1% better, how can you get that tiny edge? Now, I'm pretty analytical. I used to track my efforts. I track my efforts. Here's what I'm getting to. We have about 4 or 5 things we have to do to get business. One, we have to talk to people, either on the phone, in person, email, whatever. So you can call it contacts. How many contacts do I need to make to get an appointment to sign a buyer broker agreement or sign a listing? How many listings do I need to get a contract for closing? How many closings do I have to make X dollars? Now I did that backwards. So I knew every time I went to somebody's house, I would make $1,248. You know, if they said, hell no, we're not doing business with you, that's fine. Go on to somebody else. I kept it down to even every contact, every phone call I made, even if the line was busy or they said, no, we're not going to buy a house, I made $3.46. I knew my efforts. Now, what if I could change my efforts from $3.46 to $3.47? Maybe I could say the words a little different. Maybe I could come off a little better. Especially meeting with people in person. I didn't write this on my sheet, but there's a course of study called neuro-linguistics. Most people want to be like themselves. So if you're talking to somebody and they're sitting like this, guess what? You need to sit like this. You need to be their mirror. You need to watch their eyes when you ask them a question. If they go to upper right, they're accessing memory. If they look straight ahead, they're making it up. Unless they're left-handed.
I'm left-handed!
So they say you have to do a test. If you can remember all this, I can't remember all of it. I just know tidbits of it, and we tried it for a while. So once you know whether somebody's right-handed or left-handed, maybe by watching if they pick up a pen or something, then you know which side of their brain is working, and you can tell if they're accessing memory or they're making it up.
So what you're saying is if you're left-handed, you're accessing your memory from the right side.
You're in your right brain.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to clear it up because I always knew I was in my right brain.
So we have a saying in our business is that buyers are liars and sellers are too. That's just the damn truth.
It is.
You gotta get past that to what their motivation is. And I would give some of my clients, this is the goal sheet. Why? I don't think I can buy a house. Why? I don't have enough money. Why? How can we change that? My mind's always, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? And sometimes you just spend a little time, you just think of your work as a ministry. We're going to help people become homeowners. A friend of mine said, why do you think everybody should be a homeowner? I said, well, if you think about the word real estate, people work 30, 40, 50 years. The only one thing they have to show for it is usually a house, a home. They will invest in the market, and that money will come and go. I tell you, I'm terrified to invest in the market. It's just, you don't have any control. You could buy something like Coca-Cola stock. It's very profitable, worldwide distribution, and the president of Coca-Cola gets accused of a sexual scandal, and their profits whoosh. Tomorrow morning, your stock's worth a third less. Most people don't remember they call it the adjustment of 1987, and about 48 hours, people lost a third of their savings, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I had friends that they had like $450 in their 401k, and then it went down to $150.
That happened to me.
Yeah.
And I never, it scarred me.
Yes.
So I'm like you, I don't want to invest that way because I lost all but $27.
All but $27. So in our business, we're in the people business. We talk about houses, we talk about money. You're actually in the people business. We need to sell people. We're not just order takers. You got to learn to sell people motivate them, get their why, build it up, fan it, flame it, make it so strong they're gonna save their money. I tell them, I can give you one idea that'll save you $200 or $300 a month. Drink water. Drink water. We got the best water on the planet right here in Shelby County. Mm-hmm. Every time you go out and eat, I'll drink a beer or wine if it's free. We drink water. If you don't like the taste of water, get free lemons.
Yeah.
Do the math. That's $100 a month, maybe $200 or $300 a month. Mm-hmm. In a year, you got another $2 or $3 grand. Hey, now we can go look at houses.
A couple of free packets on your table of sugar, you got lemonade.
There you go. So you just got to, plant the seed in your mind of what you want and your customers' minds. We just sold a house about 6 months ago to one of our Bartlett tenants, a minority family, middle-aged black woman. She has her kids in Bartlett school, $300,000. She had no down payment money. I said, there's grants out there. State of Tennessee has grants. Shelby Housing has grants. You work as a nurse. Nurses have grants. We will find you the money. We did. She bought the house. She bought my rental house. A lot of stuff I do now is not to make a commission.
Thank you, Richard, for saying that.
Well, if you serve people, the business will come.
Yes.
If you serve people, the business will come. There's forces in our universe our minds do not understand. There's karma, whatever you want to call it. There's this magnetic field of us repelling or attracting fortune or good work or whatever. Now, I have had some real catastrophic situations in my life. I'm only successful because I work through them. If you can keep your physical health and your mental health, there's not much that can happen to you in this world that you can't keep going. About 25 years ago, I got in with some partners. Sent a lady, she said, I want to do a house deal with a partner. I said, you have a husband, you have a partner. Guess what? People love and care for each other. They sign a contract to be married, and half the marriages don't work out. Partnerships are the same way. They're good friends. They're good friends on the front end, and then you go into a house deal together, and it doesn't. I said, I will not help you if you have a partner. You are married. You and your husband can do what I will help you. So you have to put some parameters on what you're doing and working with people, and they may be kind of take back and say, oh my gosh. Yeah, I said, well, my job is to do what I think is best for you. I like to pretend that anybody I work with is a relative that I like. So
that's the key.
So if I had to see you at family dinners the rest of my life, this is what we're going to do. Or you go use your lady friend that cry like that telling you I'm doing everything wrong. That's fine. Go right. You know, I've said that. So, and even on listings, I didn't bring one in. You've got my flyer. And on there it says, I will not sign any papers on the first visit. And I went and saw a lady out in Lakeland. It's been a decade ago. And on the coffee table, she had literature from Century 21 and Remax. And I said, why don't you do business with them? They're nice people. She said, I didn't like them. They were pushy. They wanted me to sign papers right now. And I said, why did you call me? She said, for that sentence right there. I will not ask you to sign papers. A lot of people don't want pushy salespeople.
Right.
So you got to be firm, but don't overwhelm them. And we sold them a house, and everything worked out fine. But and then a lot of I said, well, you don't understand why I don't sign papers on the first visit. I said, you're interviewing me, but I'm interviewing you. I might not want to do business with you.
Exactly. I told a girl that yesterday, one of our agents yesterday. And the other thing that I like that you just said, so I don't forget, is that you're saying to them, if you've got Cry-like information, Remax information, use it, but you're not bashing them.
No.
Agents now will say, hey, if she offered you this discounted commission, it's because she's not going to get your picture. She's not going to do this. They're bashing agents who try to make a deal. And so a lot of agents feel threatened by that they have to, toe the line that the other agents have, like at a Cry-like or whatever. And I'm not bashing Cry-like. I'm just saying there are agents out there that's their sales tactic.
Yes.
Is to say that because you're offering your client something that is, fits their need, that you're going to be less aggressive in your plight to sell their property.
Yeah. And most consumers don't understand that 80% of the whole houses are sold by a co-op agent.
Right.
Get your house in MLS. As I said, so I got a contract one time, and the lady said, well, your job's over. I said, no, ma'am, my job just started.
Right.
Got to get you through inspection, get you through appraisal, get you through repairs, keep these people from doing something stupid before we close, go get no payment for 6 months, house full of furniture or something, which will destroy their credit rating. Most people don't realize this. The credit system is pretty smart. It tries, not only it shows what you've done, it tries to predict what you're going to do. If you buy something with no interest for 6 months, no interest, your credit score will immediately drop. 2 reasons. 1, they know you're not a good shopper. And 2, if you read the fine print, that's no interest if you pay on time.
Mm-hmm.
You pay one time, 1 day late, whoosh, it went up to 36%. You just paid a third too much, and you paid too much anyway. But so I think the point is, and Kay's right, it's not, a lot of people are looking at the money. Why would you do stuff for 1 or 2%? I say, well, the why is because I've served these people, I've saved the money, and I will get a dozen transactions from this over the next 2 or 3 years. I am their hero. We are moving from houses, and I had a folder of thank you notes. People used to write handwritten thank you. Now they ask you to do a review. Yeah. And I thought, wow, thank you, Mr. Scarbrough. You really helped us, in different ways. And I thought we used to ask people to send us those thank you notes, and then we'd have what we call a brag book. When you're on a presentation, well, here's some people I helped, read what they say, and this is a handwritten note. People don't do that much anymore, but they do it online. Hopefully that lasts for just a couple of seconds. But the other part is you need to figure out who, this is a vocabulary word I learned about a decade ago at the Memphis Investors Group, and I'll tell you about that in just a minute. But anyway, they had a panel of lady investors, and Taryn Perk, her and her husband have a bunch of units in Midtown. She said, you need to pick your tribe. Who is the people you want to serve as clients? Old people, young people, first-time homeowners, move-uppers, move-downers, veterans, and then become proficient in working with them, not just in the technical part of it, but in how their mind works to get from here to there. First-time home buyers are pretty damn terrified. Mm-hmm. We can explain the math to them. It's a 30-year fixed. You're going to be okay. This lady in Bartlett, I told her, just drink water. Wow, Mr. Scarbrough, that saved us over $300 a month. I'm thinking, yeah, 101. Let's just lower your expenses, and you can own a house, So we have to get over not just the technical part of the transaction, but the terror of explaining stuff to them. Most older people, this is interesting. So we moved up to Franklin a couple of years ago to be close to the grandkids. Of course, anybody gets within about 3 feet of me gets a business card. Y'all know that. Mm-hmm. I meet her at the mailbox, older, white-headed, kind of like me. I said, "You'd like to sell your house?" "Yes, sir." "I'd really like to sell my house. I want to move to North Carolina, be near my grandkids." And I said, she said, "Well, I'm a real estate agent. I can help you do that." And she said, "Well, I don't want anybody coming in my house. We're coming out of COVID." And I said, she said they have bird poop on their feet and they'll be coughing and sneezing and touching everything. I said, "Well, that's kind of a challenge, but we can work around that." And she said, "And I really don't want to move out of my house. I'd like to sell it and just stay here a while, because if I sell my house, I got to move. I got to put all my furniture in storage. I got to go send an extended stay, and that's just too much of an aggravation. I don't think I want to do all that." I said, we can handle all that. I can solve all those problems. I can get you in North Carolina with your grandkids. I said, "I'll buy your house. I'll pay you all cash. We'll pay off your loan. You'll have your equity, and I'll rent the house back to you for exactly what it cost me to own it. Your rent is my cost of owning this house." She said, "Oh, that would be great." I said, "What do you think your house is worth?" She said, "About $500,000. I said, "I think it's worth about $500,000. I'd already done my homework before I walked out to the mailbox. I said, wait. There's one little part about this. I cannot pay you $500,000. I'm an investor. The most I can pay you is about 80%, which is $400,000. And she said, "Well, I don't know." I'll have to talk to my son about that. I said, "Well, I think you should." She paid $250 for it, 8 years ago. So by making these low offers, people don't lose money. They're just not making as much. She came back and thought that was a great idea. So we signed a contract. I borrowed hard money. We'll talk about that in just a minute. On the day we closed, I had a lease. I pick up the phone. I call Tim Smith with Cross Country. I said, "Tim, I just bought this house in Franklin. I'd like to go to a 30-year fix. He said, we'll have it appraised. What do you think it appraised for? I said, it should appraise for about $500. He said, well, you know, as an investor, the most I can loan you is $400. I said, yes, sir, that's fine. So we close. So I have a $500,000 house in Franklin. I have zero invested in. From thinking, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? Now, I have another peer, a real estate friend. His mindset is, what's the least number of questions I can ask somebody not to do business with them?
Okay. I like it, though. I like it.
Yeah. I will spend 30 minutes trying to make a deal work that won't work. He'll spend about 3 minutes saying, you don't have a job, you don't have any savings, you got a 350 credit score. I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't think we can help you.
Right.
Click. He's off the phone. It's very kind of rude and abrupt to me, but that's just the way different people do different. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say get a job, save up your money, pay your bills on time, call me back in 2 years. We'll see if we can do business. Let me mention the Memphis Investors Group. Every major city has a real estate investment club. Memphis Investors Group started about 20 years ago. I was one of the founding members. Most of us are friends and competitors. They have about 400 members. They meet once a month. I think Kay shared this with y'all before. I'm in the Nashville Club now too. I got a new customer almost every month for about a decade out of the Memphis Investors Group. The people have on visitors' names tags. They've come there to learn about real estate or invest in real estate. They have a desire to save taxes, make money. Maybe their wife wants to do coochie stuff to a house. Who knows? So I would quickly, again, you got to get your elevator speech down. Are y'all working? No, sir, we don't have a job. We're both in school. Good. I'm glad you're here. I'm talking to somebody else. Do you have any money saved up? Oh yeah, we've got $15,000 for our first down payment on our rental. Good. I'm their new best friend, you know. Right. And then, so once they qualified, I said, well, let's visit. Let me come by your house. I don't want to give them all my information right there with 50 people standing around us. I keep
saying that to people. And it's a layering.
Yeah. It's a multiple step process. You got to build rapport. You got to find connections that they have. You have 4 cats. Oh, great! I've always liked cats. You know, I don't like cats, but anyway, you got to connect with them. Anybody around here from Michigan, they hold up their hand. Well, I lived here. You know, it's just cats, pets, cars. For me, it's cars. You got to connect with the people, get them to trust you. Now, you should have a preferred lender. I used Herb Hyman for 30 years. I said, you call Herb. When he says you can get a loan, we'll start looking at houses. We're not going to look at houses but when you can't get a loan. Now I use Tim Smith at Cross Country. Is it Cross?
Yeah, that's it, Cross Country Mortgage.
Somebody that you have a connection with, that you have met in person, you visited with, they will tell you the truth about the people, because you don't want to spend your time showing people houses who can't buy a house. All right, so then we take them out on Sunday afternoons. We look at houses. I said, here's how this works. I'm not making much of a joke. I said, we're going to look at 3 houses, and you pick one, and we're going to make an offer.
I don't think that's a joke. That's exactly.
That's right. They said, we don't like any of these. I said, well, which one would you possibly live in? Well, we could live in this one. Good. We're going to make an offer. I want them to make an offer every time we go out. Well, they're asking $350. Well, I think it's worth $250. That's fine. Let's offer $150. It doesn't matter to me. I want them to go through the process of signing papers, making offers, and so every week, I said, we're going to make an offer every week. I just went through this with the guy. I just got the check in my pocket. He's an investor. I said, guess what? We're going to make an offer every week. And sometime in the next 52 weeks, we're going to get a good deal on a house. He just bought a $350 house in Arlington for $300. Now, here's what happens. The people make the deal. You've got to learn the people side of the story. I look at the realtor comments. Says must sell as is, no showings after the estate sale. You kind of start putting the pieces together. On that one, I talked to Mindy, the listing agent. Well, why is he selling? Well, this is my cousin. He's getting married. His new girlfriend, they found a house in Oakland they really liked. The seller said he wouldn't take a contingency contract and that their house is under contract. They're asking $350. I told my guy, let's offer $275. It didn't work. He said, the most I can pay is $300. So I'm talking to Mindy. And I said, well, she said, he might come down to $340. I said, Mindy, if his fiance has her heart set on a house and they don't buy it, he will hear about that for the rest of his life. I said, it will not be a good situation. They need to go ahead and take my guy's $300. I'll lower my commission to 2%, I don't know, 2.5%, whatever it was. The money almost doesn't matter because I've got a client who will buy 10 houses in the next 10 years if I provide him a service. It's 2.5%. I said, let's give a little, make it work. We did. It closed. Now, on my client's side, he just bought a used house. It's going to be a rental in Arlington. It does not cash flow, but it saves him taxes, $300 or $400 a month. That loan's coming down $300 or $400 a month. It will cash flow in about 2 or 3 years because inflation will pull the numbers up. It's not that things cost more; it's that our money is worth less.
Right.
Our government is printing money to solve the world's problems. It is a horrible situation. No country that has done that has ever come out ahead, except if you look at all economies, all societies, any form of government, when the economic system collapsed, the people who came out ahead owned real property.
Yep.
They had farms, they had factories, they had buildings, they had houses. So
that's the case in monarchies and all that. If you just look across the world history, that fact is true.
Yeah, so grab some houses.
Yes.
I have an investor I've sold about 8 houses to in Germantown. He gave me a great word picture. He worked for First Tennessee Bank for 40 years in the bond department. He's pulling all his money out of the market, buying houses in Germantown. And he said, Richard, I don't wake up and my 4-bedroom house became a 2-bedroom house. That's what it is. It doesn't matter what number you want to put on it. That house is not going to change. It's not like my Coca-Cola stock that's all over the place.
Right.
So what I'm getting to with this rambling conversation, you may want to pick up investor clients. Once you sell them on the idea, it's not just cash flow. It's making money, saving taxes, creating wealth, having something for your family to do a bonding effect. I ended up selling one guy houses. He's about 60 years old. He just retired. He didn't want any rental houses. So you have to plant the seed to create the desire to turn it into action. And I said, well, how's your family? He said, well, I got about half a dozen grandkids, but they won't have anything to do with me. I said, how old are they? Well, from about 5 to 15. I said, Jerry, this is a real critical time of their life. You need to find something to get them to bond with you and spend some time together. I started selling them rental houses. And then he got the kids over. He would pay each one $1 a year based on their age. So the 5-year-old got $5 an hour. The 10-year-old got $10 an hour. That's not what they're worth, but he got to spend time with them. He said, I taught them how to paint. They taught me. Then I taught them how to clean up paint because they made a mess. He said, we got to spend time together, Joe. That wasn't a whole lot of time. It may have been 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. But if he didn't have those houses, he wouldn't have a connection with those kids. Right. Now, that was about a decade ago. The kids are up and gone. Somebody guess what he's doing with the houses? He's selling them. So it's almost about a decade cycle of getting people in and out of houses. So on my side, you got to have some. There's 2 words nobody can argue with: company policy. I am so sorry. This is our company policy. Our company policy could be me and Pam's company policy. My company policy for a decade has been: I'm not showing a house without a buyer-broker agreement. Richard, there's an open house. I want to meet you over there and look at it. Fine. We're going to sign the buyer-broker agreement on the hood of the car. It may be for this one house.
Thank you.
It may be for one day.
Yeah.
But I've lost deals because if you just got it. I'm so sorry. It's company policy. I can't do anything unless we sign it. And I do a 1-page form. I don't like these 3-page forms. They're too complicated. And it's one day, one house, whatever.
I told a Tennessee a representative from the Forms Committee that just last week, y'all give us all these documents with all this legalese and garbage. These people don't want to sign all that. It just needs to be cut and dry and to the point. That is how you help them.
Yes. Have you seen my 1-page buyer-broker?
I got it and saved it. So for those of you who want a copy of that, it is in our resources, the Asian resources. Because it's the same form that we use. It's just
you don't need. It's just like the NAR contracts. That's 11 pages of fine print, over 500 lines.
Yep.
I use a 1-page form that's got 10 sentences.
Yep.
when I make the low office.
I'm licensed in 5 states, and Tennessee has the worst forms. They are the longest. They have the most stuff in it. It's. I just think they do that so they can justify paying their lawyers.
Yes. Yes, I think you're right. All right, so let me just say a couple of things. Set goals. Seriously, if you hear nothing else today, grab that sheet of paper, write down, I want to be whatever, and write them down. Look at what's around you. Think about how it got there. We learn by repetition. Listen to these guys' information. It's free. It's on YouTube. You don't have to buy their course. They're going to tell you everything you need to know anyway. But listen to it over and over and over and over. Most of the sales, any sales profession, about 80% of the sales are done by 20% of the people. Mm-hmm. Of those 20% of the people, only a few of them are in the top 2%. Now, they have the same 168 hours that we do. They have access to the same information. The difference is like in sports training. It's just a little extra effort. Maybe I used to make deals with myself that I wouldn't eat any dessert until I had a listing appointment, which could be 2 or 3 hours or 2 or 3 days. Now, we're in the South, so you eat something sweet after every meal. That was pretty terrifying. Hey, it's been 3 days. I hadn't had anything sweet. I got to go see some people, you know. Or I wouldn't eat lunch until I passed out 10 business cards. Whatever works for you, make yourself do the work. You have to make yourself do the work. You're your own boss. You're an independent contractor. So measure your return on your effort. You might surprise yourself. Right. You might be especially good at one thing, but not another thing. And that's why people have teams. I've not been an advocate of a team, but if you're good at getting appointments and this person's good at doing that, we used to have buyer companies that only worked with buyers. Now, we try to do everything. Mm-hmm. We try to work with buyers, sellers, investors, first-time home buyers, veterans, everybody's out there. Yeah. I think the big push in the realtor system is just to sell you stuff in the realtor system. That's just my takeaway. When they came up, I was in the accredited buyers class. This is probably well over a decade ago. I'm sitting there and paid $400 to sit in this 8-hour class. And the guy that was teaching it came up from Arizona. He wrote the course, and you get an ABR or something on your card. And he said, nobody really cares about all these initials on your card. Nobody's going to call the office and say, give me the person who has sat through the most classes. Right. They're going to decide if they like you or not. I'm thinking, well, damn, what am I doing sitting here in this class? I need to be out talking to people. Yeah. So that kind of hit me that you just need to build trust and be friendly and be nice. So a little while after that, I was at Home Depot looking for house numbers to put on my mother's mailbox so they had faded off or something. And where they have house numbers, they have for sale signs. And there was this couple there, an elderly man, kind of a middle-aged woman, and they're skimming through the for sale signs. I thought, well, should I go over there and talk to them or just leave them alone? Well, of course, I went over and talked to them. And I said, hey, I'm Richard Scarbrough. I'm a real estate broker. Here's my card. Let me know if I can help you. I'm glad to come by and share ideas. I won't sign any papers. And so she was a widower. He had been divorced. I sold her house in Cordova, sold his house in Midtown, sold him a house in Lakeland. 3 transactions, this from a little 30-second interaction. Let me know if I can help you. I'm glad to share information. I will not ask you to sign any papers. So that may or may not work for you.
It worked for me last year.
Wonderful. What did you do?
I had a client come. He was a well-to-do kind of guy. And he had the same issue. He was just like, when I tell people what I have, what I'm trying to do, all they see is, hey, I can help you do this. They wouldn't negotiate the fees with him. They wanted him to sign right away. Somebody told him, hey, if I leave, the price might change, meaning their commission might go up if they don't sign right then. And he just kind of felt bullied. Yeah. So I just said, hey, you can come in, I'll talk to you, I can tell you, you can explain to me your situation, and I'll give you honest answers about how you can solve your dilemma. Yeah. Whether you go with me or not, I just want to help. And so he came in, we talked, he wound up talking to me for like 2 hours. But I actually did sell 3 of his houses. Wonderful. I have one that's listed for sale right now, and he also gave me a business to sell.
Wonderful. So if we're in the service business,
Yeah.
and oh, by the way, we can make some real estate commissions along the way.
Right.
I've got stories like that too. I've got an acquaintance selling a house over by University of Memphis. We're not paying a single agent a single dollar. I said, that's fine. I said, tell you what, I'll help you. I'll list the house. My fee is whatever you think it's worth to the charity of my choice. You will write a check to St. Jude. You get the tax deduction. You get my service, and I've helped a friend. We sold the house. He figured I had saved him about $2,000. He's Catholic. I had him write a check to Tennessee Baptist Children's Home. That's one of our charities. So I thought, so he's going to take that Baptist church deduction off his Catholic federal tax return. But since then, I've got 2 more transactions from his family who did make money. So it's not always about the money. It's not always about negotiating commissions. Commissions are negotiable. I've charged as much as 50% to sell a house because I didn't want to sell the house. I've sold a lot of houses for investors at 10%. Negotiable doesn't always mean lower.
Right.
It could be higher.
It could.
You're providing a level of service. You're solving their problems. And you don't always have to agree on the front end. On my form, it says a fee to be mutually agreed.
Yep.
What do those words mean? They mean if we don't agree, I don't get paid.
It sure says that, y'all. I have seen that
Yeah.
multiple times on his files.
Well, most people, and my wife's pretty terrified. You're going to do all this work and you don't know what they're going to pay you. I said, they can only do it once.
Yep.
And we're done. But I usually get paid. We usually get something. And I get future business. You're not just going to make your living on one transaction.
No.
Every interaction is a seed for multiple transactions, depending on how you help people.
That's absolutely true.
So let's talk about helping people. We're in the people business. Where do you see people? Everywhere. Any place that you give out money should get 2 of your business cards. Walmart, Kroger, the gas station, the coffee shop. You're planting seeds. Is that mine? Okay, that's fine. Also, you're in line sometimes. You're in. You hit screen call or just turn it off.
They can still hear you though.
Okay, you're in Walmart. Those people are trapped. Where are they going to go? You got a lady behind you. She got 2 little kids, a basket full of diapers.
Yep.
I said, hey, ma'am, have y'all ever thought about getting a bigger house? We'd love to get a bigger house.
Yep.
I'll be glad to help you. I can do that.
Yep.
The post office people are trapped. Where are they going to go? Now, it's very terrifying when you first start doing that because you have the fear of rejection. They're going to reject you as a person. You're a mean, horrible person. You're standing here trying to get business. You got to think about where everybody's coming from. I've had people. It says I'm disconnected from the session. That's okay. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
I've had people say, well, my sister works for Cry-Like. I say, fine, tell her I said hello. Give her some of my cards. All right, I don't want your stupid card. Throw it on the floor. At least they didn't hit me. I've never been hit. I've had people get pretty abrupt. 99 times out of 100, people will take your card.
Yep.
I've had people call me and say, well, my dad passed away, and you were the only real estate card in his desk drawer.
Yep.
I don't even remember ever talking to him. And I did business with him. I had a lady call me, and my sister gave me your card. She works at Hobby Lobby. I don't remember the sister. It's just, seriously, these cards are like seeds. If you want a corn crop, 1 kernel of corn can give you a stalk of corn with 1,000 kernels of corn on it. You got to plant seeds, smile, say something nice, be positive, try to be encouraging. It's not good to always joke with people because some people don't take jokes.
I'm one of those.
Yeah.
Probably not. Unless I know you, if I don't know
so
you,
I would say leave jokes off the table for a while. They got 8 kids here who say, you know how that happens, don't you? You don't need to say that. Probably very true, but not appropriate. So we're self-employed people. You are your own business person. You are responsible and liable for your time to yourself and your family. Mm-hmm. So, and I think the Bible is a pretty good sales manual. You have not because you ask not.
Absolutely.
101, ask for business. Seek and you shall find. I met a Keller Williams agent in Nashville. He cold calls, knocks on doors 2 hours every day. I say, what if it's raining? He says, then I do it in the rain. He is so damn focused. He says, I'm going to be out there 120 minutes knocking on doors. He's farming the neighborhood. There's different ways that's a hell of a lot of work to me.
Is.
And it's not very productive if you look at your return on effort and return on time. But hey, if he works that plan will work. He may have to knock on 1,000 doors to get a listing or a sale, but he's passing out cards, passing out their literature, and he's doing it in this immediate neighborhood where people are pretty much, it may take him, he's planting seeds. Mm-hmm. He may get business a year or two from now. I'm not saying you should do that, but you should do something.
But you know what, that still works because we have an agent who came to us, she's from Georgia, so she started a business in Georgia and she actually still lives there.
Yeah.
But she came here and did just that and got like 3 listings in like less than 30 days and had closed 2 transactions within 60 days.
It's like talking to people. You could ask anybody, would you like to live somewhere other than you're living now? And about every third person would say
yes.
Yes. I'm in an apartment. I want a house. I want a bigger house. I want a little house, whatever. Everybody wants to be somewhere else. All right, so I'm going to leave you with one joke. And here's the situation. You probably heard this joke. There's a flood coming, and the people are warned there's a flood coming. They're in a 2-story house. The water fills up the downstairs. It's about 4 or 5 feet deep, so they go upstairs. Water keeps coming. They're in the upper floor. A guy comes by in a John boat and says, hey, get in my boat. Oh, no, we're fine. God will save us. The water keeps coming. They get up on the roof. A helicopter comes by and says, climb up this rope. I'm going to save you. No, God will save us. The water keeps coming. They drown. And they go to heaven and say, God, why didn't you save us? We sent a boat and a helicopter. What else could we do? So that's pretty funny, but here's what happens. You think you're working.
Yeah.
You think you're working. You get to heaven and say, God, why didn't you send me more business? I was faithful to my spouse. I worked hard. I tithed at the church. Say, Richard, I sent you 18,346 people within 3 feet of you that needed your service. You didn't smile at them, give them a card or anything. So anybody you interact with is a possible customer or somebody you could possibly help.
Yes, that's true. I actually was told that in another business that you should give your card to everybody within 3 feet of you. And they even gave us a script to say.
I give 2 cards now. Don't give just one. So here, give one to a friend. I learned that from Stanley Mills at Cry Life. He gives 2 cards.
2 cards.
I thought, well, that's interesting. I'll give 2 cards.
I was rebellious, though, and didn't want to do it. That was my point. I was just like, I'm not going out and giving no cards out to everybody within 3 feet. I was young and stupid. So this one person that I really was impressed with this person. I actually met them through another group of people, and I was very impressed with the person, but was defiant and didn't want to give my card within 3 feet. And you know what? That person walked into my sales meeting for my other organization on the arms of somebody else.
Oh my gosh.
And blew it out of the water.
And they got all the downline.
Bang. And I just was like, you know what? I am never going to do that again.
Yeah. Because
I could have elevated myself just by opening my mouth and handing the card.
I'm in a men's group. I get up early and I'm hungry, so I'm looking for something to do. And I've joined a men's group up in Nashville. At the church, we take turns leading the class. Nobody knows what we're talking about till we walk in the room. It's interesting. Our aliens, angels, or whatever, you can talk about anything. So when it's my turn, I talked about the sin of omission. Mm-hmm. We are going to be held accountable for our thoughts, words, and actions. Mm-hmm. We're also held accountable for the actions we do not take. Mm-hmm. The actions we do not take. The sin of omission. So if you're a salesperson and you're not a good salesperson, you need to learn how to be a salesperson. It's a learned skill. Just like you learned how to swim, you learned how to ride a bicycle, you learned the alphabet. It takes repetition. You can't listen to this stuff one time and say, I got it. Just like me listening to Earl Nightingale. I thought, I've heard this tape. But I was sold on the idea that I'm in the car, I need to listen to motivational tapes, period. Mm-hmm. If I'm in the vehicle, I got to listen to these tapes. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it hit me. Oh my gosh, it's like the fog is lifted and your mind can see how things really work.
I love that.
One other thing for y'all, this information I've shared is from me personally. It is not legal advice. It is not financial advice. You need to talk to your broker, lawyer, or CPA. The stuff I did was from decades ago. It may not be perfectly legal now. Now, Kay started this meeting talking about Realtor Emeritus.
Yes.
That's an honor on the National Association of Realtors if you've been in this business as an active agent for 40 years. So they called me about that 2 or 3 years ago. The board called and said, Richard, you're qualified to be a Realtor Emeritus. Do you want to do that? You need to fill out some papers. I said, no, the people don't care about what's on your card. It's no big deal to me. She called the next year and she said, Richard, are you sure you don't want to do this? It'll save your dues. I said, why didn't you tell me? It'll save your money.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's the benefits.
Yeah, 40 years of hanging in there. But, I sort of tell people, a lot of people don't make it. They get quit, they get rich and quit, or they die, or they just don't hang in there.
Hang in there.
For me, it's kind of an addictive behavior. I can't turn my mind off. It's always, what else can I do? What else can I do? Yeah.
Me too. I definitely get called a busybody.
Yeah, and y'all are very blessed to be associated with Best Real Estate Company. And I don't mind telling you, Kay is about the hardest working woman I ever know. They asked me to be company broker when Larry was going out. I thought, no damn way. I can't hardly keep myself straight. I can't imagine keeping all these agents straight. So she stepped in, and I have been amazed at how much she's gotten done. Y'all are to be congratulated to be associated with Best. You have a lot of freemen. You have a lot of training. And it's just the best place to be.
Thank you so much for that, Richard.
You're quite welcome. You're a hard-working lady.
I try to be, but you know what? I feel like I had good people to learn from. You were definitely one of those. I just was in a good environment to be motivated to do it. And we have good agents too. That's the other thing that I want to say. I do have, we do have challenges as with any group. Things come up that you have to work through. But for the most part, it is my honor to be the broker for such good people.
Yeah. We got another couple of minutes.
We do.
Okay. She keeps mentioning the word broker. If you're not a broker, you really need to get your broker's license, and I'll tell you why. You say, I'm never going to run a company. I don't want any other agents. That's fine. You still need to get your broker's license. Here's why. If you ever have a problem with the Tennessee Real Estate Commission, and I've had a problem, I'll tell you what it was. One thing is to give you a fine. The other thing is to take away your license. But if you're a broker, they just move you from broker to affiliate broker. So you dodge that bullet. So stuff can kind of come at you don't even think about. So this is probably 30 plus years ago when I first got into business. We did a transaction. I'm the listing agent. The transaction closed. The house had a swimming pool and somehow ended up with a couple of buckets of swimming pool chemicals. I took it over to the guy who bought my listing, knocked on the door, said, hey, here's some extra pool chemicals I thought you might like. As a good deed, I thought I was doing the right thing. The buyer's agent called me. So what are you doing talking about? Are you trying to steal my customer? I can't believe you went over there without talking to me. I didn't think it was that big a deal. He complained to the Tennessee Real Estate Commission that I contacted. We're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to have clear definitions of communication. I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. They cited me for whatever it was, 407B or whatever. And the tone of the letter was, you're welcome to come to Nashville for a hearing, but you're going to pay a fine. So I paid the fine. I think it was $250 or something. Now, this is 30 years ago. Now that would be $1,000 fine.
Yep, everything is $1,000 now.
Here's the problem. If you looked up my license, it would say, Mr. Scarbrough violated section so-and-so, so-and-so, pled guilty, paid a fine. You don't know if that's a $10 problem or a $10,000 problem. So the main thing is don't lose your license. My gosh, it's hard enough to get them. Go ahead and get your brokers. Yes, it takes a little time. Yes, it takes a little studying. You only have to pass the test once. It doesn't matter if you take it 2 or 3 times. Just keep taking it till you pass. Then you got another level of protection to keep your license if something like that happens that's totally innocent, or in your mind innocent, that's given a gift to another client. It was free to me. It was free to them. It's about $200 worth of chemicals, a big 5-gallon bucket of wrapped up cellophane tablets. And so I know not to talk to other agents' people anymore. That's an expensive lesson. But that's the problem with this business. Some of the some of the lessons are expensive.
Yeah.
Not just in money, but in cost in your time. So
Yes.
the more we can learn to help each other, the better off we are. Okay, I think I've exceeded my time, and I'm certainly glad to help y'all. Are we okay?
Yes, we're okay.
Okay.
So, well, let me say this. Thank you so much for that. I think we definitely needed that, and I love that it was so positive and inspiring. The way that you shared the information. The list of salespeople to follow is a really good one. About half of these people on this list I listened to.
I'm sure you have. Yeah.
And the thing that I want to say about it is listening to it over and over again or reading them over and over again, you do pick up new stuff, just like you said. And to me, that's the same with the Bible. I mean,
oh yeah, you
don't read it once and then it's like, I've done that, been there, done that. You keep reading it as you grow and learn.
Well, you're in different situations, so you interpret it different.
Oh, it's Sam recording. It's still going. And then I just love that Richard always has a handout. Something that we can, we can use as a tool. And a lot of these classes we get from our from the realtors and everything, NAR and stuff like that. They don't necessarily come with paperwork, especially if you go to MAR. You'll sit there, they'll take a class, they'll give you good information, but you have nothing to leave with to follow up with for yourself. So I love that, and I would really, really welcome you want to ask you to come back and do a deep discussion about investing, because we do have lots of people that want to get into that, and I want to make sure people are doing it in a safe way. Okay. You know what I mean? Like people go out here and they meet people, and I've had a couple of agents, not from here, but just because of what I've been doing in the community, come up to me and say, hey, this happened to me. I talked to this guy. He said he was an investor. He ripped me off. Yesterday, one of our brokers, Lisa Thomas, did a class online about her experience as an investor. And people, it was one of the most well-attended events that we've had all year. So I know that there is a need for that, and I want people to do it in a safe way and in a safe environment and have some reference for help if they need that. And so I think you're the best person to talk to.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to share that. And I've written a couple of Tuesday tidbits for Mig. We can bring them in. I've got another one in my head I was going to put out on paper, too. So that'll motivate me to get another handout for you.
Yes, and hopefully we can get it done, the next time you come back. Richard comes to maybe once a month.
Yeah, once a month.
To visit us. He was amongst us on a regular basis, and then he had to go and be a grandparent. and so I appreciate and love the reason family is everything to me, but I definitely miss Richard being around on a regular basis.
Let me say something about being a grandparent. I learned a new vocabulary word recently. I've seen it printed twice in 2 different real estate magazines. I don't know if y'all picked up on this. Over 10,000 people a day are turning 65. They get their Social Security, they quit working, they want to be near their family, but their family ain't here. Their family's somewhere else. So most of them want to move to where their grandchildren are, and the word is baby chasers. They're baby chasers. So they sell a house where they were, and they buy a house where they're going. So if you meet a white-headed person, just like I met the lady at the mailbox, and say, where do you want to live? Well, I want to be near my grandkids, but they're wherever. Well, I can help you. We make the transition as easy as possible, where you can make a commission or end up with a house or something. So there's a lot of baby chasers out there.
It's amazing that you say that, and I'll tell you why. My daughters, little context, I'm the youngest of my mother's 5 children.
Wow.
So,
okay.
My children, they're not the youngest grandchildren. I have one niece that's younger than my son, who's 17. But my daughters are 24 and 22, and they live in Baltimore. And my mother, my oldest daughter, we just found out she's expecting. And my mom, she's like, oh, I'm gonna move to Baltimore. Now, mind you, my mom has not flown ever. Will not fly. I've offered, when we lived in Georgia, she wouldn't fly. She always took the Greyhound bus to come. But she says she's going to fly to Baltimore.
For the love of her grandchild.
For the grandchild and the great-grandchild.
That's the motivation.
Said, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like, so it's amazing that you say that. So the baby boomers have become baby chasers.
Yes.
Wow.
I just had that thought. The baby boomers have become baby chasers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of times they can't figure out how to get from here to there, and that's our job as agents to help them ease that transition, however we can. Yeah, or at least.
And that's a great way to build connections with other agents in other places. If you don't have a license there, you want to help your baby chaser find somebody that's going to give them the same attention and care that you would.
Right.
So it's an opportunity to build even more bridges.
Yeah.
I'm going to do some research on the baby chasers.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much for that.
Just about anybody with white hair is a baby chaser.
Yes, that's true. Well, I'm not a baby chaser yet, but I got some. My white hair is coming, so I need to tell my daughter to get on it. No, I'm just kidding. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kay. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, and I'm so happy we got a visual so people can put a face with this awesome voice and all this great information that is it's been tried and tested, and I know it's still working because I talk to agents who still do
stuff that's on records. It still works.
It's still working. It's still working, and so with that being said, I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for giving Shanita and I a break. We did not have to come up with anything. I was so excited. I said, Richard is going to do the podcast. We don't have to do anything this week except be gorgeous.
There you are. You are.
So thank you for giving us a break. And I will be sharing this on our YouTube with the agents. Get it out in the email every week. And then I'm going to also I've started to save them in our resources so that agents can go back and look at them later. And I'm trying to weed out things that are fads, versus things that are tried and true. And this is definitely one of them. And you guys will also get with the email tomorrow a copy of the handouts so that you can have those as reference. And I really encourage you guys to fill it out. And I love that on this sheet, the first thing is spirituality. What's your goal? Family is number 2. We need to do those 2 things before we can have a successful business. We need to have a successful spiritual life and a successful family life, or at least be working towards it. They need to be our number 1 and number 2 priorities in my mind.
Yeah, because it's hard to focus when your family is in chaos.
Yeah.
And focus when your mind is in chaos.
Yes, and not let money be the motivator.
If you serve people, the money will come.
It will come. I am a true and living witness to that. So.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you guys. And until next time, take care of yourselves and sell something.
Have a good weekend.